Love is blind, and if I would have set a standard saying that I don't want a man who was incarcerated, or, I don't want a man who had a past criminal history or something like that, I would probably still be out here alone. And I, in my life experience, I learned to not settle just because, like, I've had friends who married due to the length of time that they were with somebody or because they had children, and that's never been my story. Like, I can find happiness by myself. And it's a great thing when you can find someone who can add to that. This whole standard thing, if you believe in a higher power, go to God, go to whoever you believe in, and just seek those things and pray for those things, and stop having all these standards on humans. We are all human. What if he fought at me for having children before? That would be crazy. So.
Welcome back, y'all. We're still sitting here with Wendy and Lynch Hunt. So we're just going to continue the conversation and get back into some questions. Lynch, this is for you.
Okay.
What was the biggest adjustment for you coming home and stepping into life as a husband and father?
Everything. I swear, you got to figure, man, I went from, being by myself for all that time. Before that, being with different people on the street and things like that, to being in a marriage with kids, and I didn't have any biological kids of my own at the time. So everything my whole life was totally new. But I think the toughest part was being a husband and a father without being a provider. Men, pride themselves on being providers. And at that time, I was fresh out of prison, and, I barely was working. I was only making $6 for 30 minutes of a training session. So if I had 2 sessions back to back, I was only making $12 an hour, and I wasn't training a lot of people at the time. So, it was hard, being in a relationship and not being able to pay bills or take care of the house and things like that. But luckily, I had a partner who, was, ready, able, and willing to just hold it down and, allow me to, that time to grow and get on my feet and things like that. So
I don't think this generation, we're not moving like that anymore. Are we? I don't know. I haven't seen it, but that's right there.
Grown women stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's real.
And they want unemployed men sitting on the couch waiting for them to come home from work.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yes. Some of them do. Right? Some of them do. So to give a little backstory, what was the timeline? We can do math again as we did in the other part. But like from the time you came home to the time y'all got married, what did that look like?
We got married. Moved in after
we got married while I was in the halfway house.
Okay.
2012, I went to the halfway house in January. We got married in March while I was still in the halfway house. I almost got in trouble for doing that because they said I couldn't. We did it anyway. We got married on my lunch break. They came to my job. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I'm telling y'all, you cannot make this stuff up.
They came. I wasn't there. They called me back in. I almost went back to jail the day we got married.
Hold on, wait. They showed up?
They showed up at my job because they told me not to get married, and I got married anyway. So it was a specific date that I wanted. So our anniversary is 3/23, right? It's March 23rd.
Oh, my parents is the 25th.
Oh, yeah, that's dope. But let me tell you how I came up with it. Okay. So we took the day she was born, July 3rd, the 3, and then the day I was born, which is November 23rd. So I took the 3 from the day she was born, the 23 from the day I was born, and it became the day we were born. Yeah. So the 3/23, I wanted that date, and they could not tell me no. I did it anyway.
So if y'all did that, I'm like, did y'all go to the courthouse? Like, because didn't you know they would, or y'all just did like a ceremony? Like,
so
how did that work?
Requested the day to leave, to be off of work or to go to that church to get married, and they denied him. So during his lunch break is when we got married, and they came and snuck up on him, and he wasn't there.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I got back, my supervisor, told them I was training somebody at the pool, and that's why I wasn't around and things like that. But they left a message for me to report back to the halfway house. So I couldn't even do the reception, dinner that we had planned and things like that.
Some rebels. You're like, we're gonna do our own.
Yeah, well, she took me back over there, and I met with my.
We got married in Jersey, and halfway house was in Philly. So if anybody knows, it's a good 30
minutes, 30 minute drive.
Enough.
So we had some time to brainstorm.
It's giving Bonnie and Clyde.
But I didn't get in trouble. They let me out.
Favor.
Yeah.
That is favor for sure. And I feel like y'all have just had continuous favor, because y'all were like, no, we're doing this because God said it was okay.
That's right.
So I love that. Okay. So then how did you apply? Because I'm sure you learned some lessons. I know you said you started the transformation prior to going into the prison, like your mindset was already shifting. But how did you apply the lessons that you did learn in prison to building your new life?
Ooh, that's a loaded question right there. I believe, the first thing is to just kind of start where you are with what you got and make something happen. I started to, goal set. And the first things that I learned in prison that, where there's no vision, the people will perish. So I literally was goal setting whatever it was that I wanted to do. This was, me starting my career. It was like, you want to be a trainer or you want to go into personal training or whatever. This is the number one goal. Here's what you have to do. So the first thing that I did was I asked Wendy to, find a place that was like the place I was working at in the halfway house. So I became a personal trainer in the halfway house. But when we got married, I now had to move to North Carolina. So everything that I started in New Jersey, I couldn't take with me.
It's like starting over again.
I start all over again. So I asked her to find a demographic, that was a geographical location with the demographics that we had at the place where I was working at. And that's when she found the Rush on Battleground and literally kind of just put me in the same exact environment with the same type of people who had, the kind of income that could support what we were doing and things like that. So just goal setting and being able to, strategize and, put a plan together and, back that with action, makes dreams come reality. So.
See, you were new as a husband. You were already like, let me ask my wife, my partner, like, help me in this. I need assistance in figuring this out, which is amazing. So for Wendy, how did you feel like your relationship changed after Lynch came home, and what challenges did y'all face as a whole family, if any?
Our relationship in regard to man and wife, well, of course, it was even better because then it was like, just honeymoon every day. And just having him here was even better for me because I didn't have family and friends in North Carolina. So now I could go on dates or we can do family-oriented things with the girls. Khadijah, my oldest, was going to college. She was a freshman at North Carolina Central. So she's a cheerleader. We're going to games. And now like everything that I dreamed of and I prayed for came to fruition. So that was outstanding. And Trinity, that was the first time she actually experienced living with a male figure in the home. So she needed that at that age. She was 8 years old. So she needed that. And in regards to obstacles that I faced, for me, it was relinquishing control because I was a head of a household for, Deej was 18. She was 18. So you figure I'm the parent all of these years, and then he was my husband, but now I have a man physically in here, and he was a man, not just somebody who just came through,
not just
right. So that was challenging for me, as well as getting my kids to jump on board. And when I say jump on board, it's them acknowledging and respecting that this man is going to be the head of this household. He's going to be king. We're going to respect him. That was a challenge for both of us in the marriage. And with my oldest daughter going off to college and then her coming home. So she just had spurts of it. So then when she would come home for maybe like summer break or Christmas break, we would have incidents with her, but I would have incidents with her because, you know, she felt like she was number two because she acted as like that other parent, you know, with her being a big sister to Trinity. But it took her some time. And I truly believe that they had to see that he truly cared and loved us. And that's when they kind of not fell in line, so to speak, but it was okay to open up their hearts and accept that, you know what, this is my father, my stepfather, whatever. And everything just kind of fell into place for us.
Yeah, I think the beauty in it is like y'all weren't the only ones adjusting. Everybody in the house had to adjust in some capacity. So it's just like growing pains that had to happen. But I do think too, especially for an older sibling at that age, after a while, it's like if you see your mom happy, something's going right in this. But of course, it's a younger one, you kind of just don't really see it. So you're like, well, he's here, so I guess I'm gonna just
she just
fall in
knew
line,
hey, I could go ski, I could do this, I could do sneaks. We go out to dinner. She brought that was like a little bit. It's kind of fun, you know. So that's cool. So for the both of y'all, what were some early steps that y'all took to build a strong foundation for your marriage, especially after such an unconventional beginning? I'll start. Prior to us being married, Lynch did an exercise in the visitor's room in the prison where we kind of just meditated. So say he told me to close my eyes, he would look at me and kind of just take in all my flaws and just kind of just meditate on everything about me. And then I did the exact. So
his eyes would stay open.
That's and just learn every single thing about each other. But it was more so like that, you know, in the face. And then we started fasting every first Saturday of the month. And this is prior to marriage. When he came home, we did not have sex until we were married. And this was all new for me because I had lived with, in past relationships, I lived with two other men. And I told myself prior to us reconnecting that I'm never just living with a man again. Like the next time I live with a man, I'm gonna be married. So God put all those things into place. So when we go back and we talk about faith and, you know, just making these declarations to yourself and to manifest these things, that's everything that was manifested.
And you were really living it out too.
Absolutely.
And God honored it. Okay. Do you have one, or you're like, I'm gonna stick with that one?
I did kind of take them off.
Yeah, she was like, I got this. so I guess this kind of could be for both of y'all. So how did y'all start working together on shared goals? And then we'll put a little pin in AWOL Fitness.
So I believe, you know, Wendy just gave me the courtesy of just helping me build out my dreams, my goals, my desires from the beginning, because she was already established. She was already in her career for at least about 10 years by that point. She's already a police officer for like 10 years at that point. So, you know, now it was just, you know, let me support him, let me back him, let me get behind him and, you know, see if this works for him or whatever. So, you know, my goals became our goals. And it was like, you know, the more he gets, you know, closer to what he's trying to do, the more we'll win together. So, you know, with AWOL Fitness, it became first, you know, get me a job, you know, and as I got that job, I could see, you know, more of me being able to do the thing that I thought I could do, which was move into doing it for myself. So she allowed me to use the garage and turn it into, you know, a private studio or whatever. So I was able to leave the work, you know, field and go in, as an entrepreneur, you know, full time with training from the garage in the studio by myself at home. Then Favor came about to where she was a school resource officer, and they gave us the green light and the keys to the auxiliary gym. So on the weekend, we would do boot camps in the auxiliary gym. So we were able to, you know, get a lot of people in there, and that gave us the vision to be able to, and the confidence to be able to, you know, get our standalone building and bring, you know, a bunch of people in there. So the goals organically, you know,
aligned.
They just aligned. and we were able to do one thing after another, and getting all those people there weekend after weekend allowed us to put them on like automatic draft. So we already had the people we needed, and we already had the payments coming automatically. So the next goal was to get a building or a place of our own, and that opportunity presented itself. Then when the rest was history.
So I'm gonna go a little off of here because this is not on here, but do y'all feel like because of all the things y'all had already experienced as a couple and just like the unconventional beginning that y'all had, by the time y'all were actually physically together, y'all were kind of like, we low-key could just do anything at this point, like we can make anything happen? Did it make you feel like you were almost invincible in a sense?
Yeah,
I never thought of it in that way.
I believe so. I mean, for me, I never kind of feared one move after the next,
Didn't, 'cause you
the biggest thing that was that I did worry about and that I did fear was when I finally like told my story and came out, because remember, this is a whole new state for me. Nobody knew that I was locked up the entire time. Wendy's a police officer.
It just sounds crazy.
Formerly incarcerated. Yeah. So nobody knew that. They just thought that I was someone who, who married her from back home and moved down here to start over. So, the thing that, was the most fearful for me was jeopardizing her livelihood, which was what supported us and awarded us the opportunity to actually get to this point right here. And I wasn't that selfish to say, I'm just going to tell my story. I was like, yo, if I mess this up, like this could blow up the whole everything that we've built to this point. So I went and got covering from the bishop at Mount Zion. I went and got the church put behind me, and I said, hey man, what can we do? How can we do this? And I don't want to mess this stuff up. So that was the toughest decision that I had to make this entire time, and that wasn't until 2019. So nobody knew anything until 2019.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, nobody knew I was locked up until then.
That might make sense. Not that it might make sense. I'm just like, because I met y'all, I just was thinking about this the other day, but I think I met y'all in 2018.
Yeah.
In Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I might have known, but y'all were obviously working closely. Yeah. So but even then I'm thinking, I don't know that I fully put it all together. So that's crazy because that really wasn't that long ago.
Right.
Considering when the story really started.
Right.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
so it was a whole 7 years before, we actually let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah. But you went about it the right way too. Because I think like if you're people of faith, you always got to make sure you got that covering, because, one little misstep could just change everything. Yeah. Especially y'all had worked so hard to get to that point too. So, well, on that note, we're going to go to a commercial break, but we'll be right back.
AWOL 2.0 is now offering a general gym membership. That's right. Just like all the big box gyms, you can now come to AWOL during our off hours. That's right, for open gym, and use the general gym membership. You can use our cardio equipment. You can come in and work out at your time, at your leisure, as long as we're not having our class times. Yo, click the link below. Make sure you check out your options for your general gym membership, and get in here and get AWOL.
So we keep mentioning AWOL Fitness. I think we should just dive head first and tell everybody, what is AWOL Fitness? How did it even come about? And what has been the journey from the beginning of it to now? Because I keep up with y'all online. So I've seen some, the growth and the transformation. So let's tell everybody about AWOL Fitness.
Well, AWOL Fitness is about us educating, motivating, and inspiring people to transform their mind and body, so that they can actually just kind of live a better life, or a life of success, or a life of abundance. And it's spawned from my personal journey. If it wasn't for health and wellness, I wouldn't have stayed on the track of, if it wasn't for me losing weight, let me say, then I wouldn't have stayed on the track or got on the track for health and wellness, for, spiritually, emotionally, and just, physical wellness, in totality. So, AWOL Fitness is something that embodies all of those things. You're talking about mind, body, and spirit. The body doesn't go anywhere that the mind doesn't tell it to go. So you can't have, a physical transformation without a mental and spiritual transformation. So we basically put all of these things together in our teachings, and that's where that's what the AWOL journey is all about, putting all those things together so that you can become a better person. So, we really inspire a lot of transformation based off of the way we, train people and how we cultivate those things.
And for those that don't know, tell them, if you can, what AWOL stands for. Because I've heard like AWOL.
Yes, AWOL stands for a way of life, a way of life. So kind of like how you do anything is how you do everything. And, you want to make sure that you're emotionally strong. You want to make sure you're mentally strong. You want to make sure you're physically strong, spiritually strong, or well in all these areas. And, you want them to be balanced because, life is about, being aligned with, all of these different aspects of, your being. And when one thing is out of alignment, then you will feel that and recognize that somewhere, in your body and in your life.
Every time.
Yes.
Every single time. Okay. So speaking of balance, Wendy, what role have you played in supporting Lynch's vision while also maintaining balance in your own life? Because I feel like you hear more so wives and moms, they might talk about wanting to not have their whole identity wrapped up in their family. So how do you feel like you've been able to support him, but still have your own, your own side of things?
How have I been able to support him? I would say just being his peace for one. Running a business can be very hectic, very frustrating at times, dealing with people. So when he comes home, I'm not that wife that is like, wow, or a complainer. We are, I would say, very confident in who we are. He works with probably 95% women. So I've never been a woman who was insecure and more concerned about what he sees outside of, our home or whatever. And I just make sure that, one, I keep myself together so he can always be attracted to his wife.
But look at you, I don't know that he
Absolutely. But just also just being, so always supporting his vision. Lynch his mind goes 10,000 miles a minute. And sometimes I am like, but for the most part, I think I support you in most of everything that you and Ken come up with. So just being that peace and that sanctuary for him.
So I'm going to be the shameless plug here because obviously we have talked a lot about AWOL and how obviously that was your vision at first, but let's talk about your boutique, Anointed Couture. Let's talk about that. How did that even come about?
Can I start?
Oh, that's exciting. Sure.
No, I just want to start because it's a full circle moment.
Okay.
So remember when Wendy gave me the opportunity to use the garage as, the foundation for AWOL Fitness? Well, we turned the basement level of our home into the foundation in the beginning for the storefront of Anointed Couture Boutique. So it all came full circle when it was time for her to actually leave the police force to do that full time. She, I let her go into that, but we used the same things that
it's like paying it forward. Like, you allowed this for me.
That's exactly what happened.
Now it's your turn now.
Yes.
So with the boutique, honestly, I was working for the city still, and I came home on a lunch break. Down the basement was actually just 2 family rooms. Lynch had all these TVs put up, and we said this particular in this season that we were going to get an accent wall up, and he had to take the TVs down. So we had this lady come in, and she did the accent wall, and it was she was finishing, and she texted, and I came home to see it on lunch break, and I was like, this wall is too nice just to throw some TVs back on here. So I honestly, I always loved fashion, of course, and I had my t-shirt line. But in that moment, I was like, Lynch, I can put my boutique down here.
She saw it.
I seen the vision then in that moment, but I honestly, I would have never thought that I would have brought a business back to our home.
Yeah.
Honestly, but in that moment, God just dropped it in my spirit, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. So like he said, it just came back full circle.
I love that.
And kind of just grew from there. In regards to moving forward and starting the boutique in itself and leaving my primary source of income, I had a baby at age 43 during the pandemic, and I actually went through 15 months of postpartum depression. I believe it was a depression as well as the pandemic, just some critical lifestyle changes that, you know, I wasn't ready for, and I had to adapt to. And during that time, I was a detective working, doing sexual crimes, child abuse, gender abuse, domestic abuse. So a lot of that took a toll on me after having my daughter, and it became a hard part of my depression. And I think before the pandemic, after having Legacy, the plan was to not go back. But then when we went into the pandemic and we had to close the gym, I was like, yeah, no, we got to secure this. So I didn't even realize how deep of a darkness that I was into at that time. So I go back to work after having her, and my first case was a infant death, and I had to go to an autopsy for a 4-month-old baby. And
you probably were like, yeah, this is where I draw the line.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. So it was already in the works in regards to me leaving. And then the idea of the boutique, when that came, it was just like, okay, yeah, it's time. So that's how that.
Love it. Yeah. And I'm excited to take a peek down there because I've only seen it online. So I'm excited to go see.
Yes.
This is great. So overall, we're going to wrap this up because I'm sure y'all have stories for days. But what do y'all hope that people can take away from hearing y'all's stories and like your separate journeys and then also your journey together?
It's this saying, I don't think I'm going to say it right. So I'll say that it took for me to be isolated. Like elevation requires
separation.
We started.
Yes. So that I needed that. The transition for me moving down south, and granted, I didn't know that my husband that Lynch would come down south with me. But God knew that I needed that. I always kind of ponder and think like, what would I be doing if I stayed in New Jersey? Would I be a hairdresser? Because I always loved fashion in some sense. But God knew that I needed that. And even being down here, like I wasn't attracted to guys from down south. They were different, and people up north, we move fast, so you're talking slow, and it just didn't cut it for me. So that was that for me, and I could never envision my future, and I'm sure I had planned to go back to New Jersey at some point.
Because that's what you knew.
Yeah.
You were like, if it's not gonna work down here, we're gonna
go back to what I know. But God had it in His plans for us to just spend our life together down here, and I mean it's been beautiful because I hated down south. I did. And I met most of my friends from Lynch. I don't like to admit it.
You finally admitted that. Oh, gee. That's what I'm talking about. It's all wax. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Lynch, do you have anything that you hope, people take from hearing y'all's stories?
Yeah, man. Just like, whatever you have inside of you, you really believe, that to, be part of your life, or that something you can manifest, man, just go after it. Do it, man. I just believe that, everything that we think and then we believe we actually can achieve. And I know it sounds, cliche, but, I teach people now that, get it out of your head, put it on paper, put a date to it.
Well, I believe if God gives you a vision, He is also going to equip you to execute it.
Absolutely, but a lot of people don't act on it.
They don't act on it, and they're not always so
A lot of people
technical.
don't believe that you know, that vision is something. I just think it's a thought or something like that. Yes. And I don't think you should just brush past a lot of those random thoughts like that. You know, I think you should really take them serious and act on them, man. Don't sleep on them too long. So, you know,
That's how I got this podcast.
Yeah. See, action changes things. You know what I mean? You just got to act and you got to go. So it's good stuff. I don't know, though. You know, no profound words this time.
They don't have to be big, like transformative, and then we have said that 50 times. No, I think that's great. Like you said, people should not just think that thoughts they mean nothing, because there's a reason why it's in your spirit. And then kind of like you said, to tie it all together, sometimes you have to go through that season of isolation to get to a better space. And I can attest to that clearly, because once I became separated, I went under a rock. Like, I just was like, let me get off social. Let me just exist, and be present, which, deep depression. But I need that time to myself, and kind of like, even though I shut out some friends and family, and I had to do that. But once I came out of that season, it was like, oh, I'm a better person because I took that time to myself. And I feel like I was showing up as a better individual for the people in my life. So great gems, even if not so profound. Yeah. So you guys, I hope y'all got something. If not these last few words, I hope within this episode, y'all learned something that you could just take with you. And if you need to come back and rewind and play it all over again, do that, because they dropped a lot of good gems. Okay, even if it might have went over your head, watch it a few times. I'm sure something will stick. So if y'all could like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And then you can also follow them on their social media platforms, but I will allow them to share that with y'all.
I'm on Instagram, shop.anointedcouture.com. Not .com, shop Anointed Couture, but the website is anointedcouture.com.
That's right. And Instagram, I am Lynch Hunt, and website, it's AWOL.com.
And I will absolutely make sure this is in the description, so you will see this. Please go support them. They are amazing entrepreneurs and just an overall amazing couple. So yeah, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining me.